Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. The video for today, this is not a fun one. I was not planning on recording anything today. I was planning on knocking out a couple body camera videos and then actually having some free time, which is something I generally don't get to do. Then this story came out and I felt like I absolutely had to record a video on this. Not only is it a major news story and something that needs to be reported on, but also there's information that I have that I think the public needs to be made aware of, or that I have the responsibility to share with the public. And that's one of the main reasons I'm making the video today. This isn't like inside information, or I don't have any inside link to the actual investigation, but due to my experience and my knowledge of the people who were arrested, I can read between the lines on something like this. And a lot of people have asked me questions. I'm just going to make a video where I'm going to tell everything that I know about what's going on here. I think that's the right thing to do. I want to get straight into the story, and then I'll get into kind of my thoughts, my feelings, and everything on it. That's just how we're going to handle this video. So the story is, according to the feds, 2 Columbus police officers were arrested on drug charges for stealing and selling cocaine. United States Attorney Kenneth Parker says that John Castillo, age 31, and Joel Mefford, age 34, appeared in federal court Thursday afternoon. The 2 officers of the Columbus Division of Police were accused of stealing and selling kilograms of cocaine and were arrested on Thursday. That's the subject, the line that I read above. According to Mefford's indictment, he was investigating a drug crime in February of 2020. Unlawfully gained access to a detached garage that was part of the investigation. Without a warrant, he allegedly found 2 kilograms of cocaine in the rafters of the garage. He then, I'm going to stop saying allegedly, he then seized one of the kilograms and left the other one behind to be found during a search warrant the next day. Mefford then gave the stolen narcotics to someone so that they could sell the drugs, according to the indictment. Another case in February and in March of 2020, Mefford was investigating a drug trafficking activity on Ambleside Drive and Kilbourne Avenue on the city's north side. On March 17th, Mefford allegedly took a bag containing multiple kilograms of cocaine from a house on Ambleside Drive and arrested the suspect. He then traveled to a house on Kilbourne Avenue, removed another kilogram of cocaine. That same day, he turned in 1 kilo of cocaine to evidence and stole the other kilos to be sold. A month later, he allegedly took 20 kilos of cocaine from the Columbus Police property room and replaced it with fake cocaine. Mefford is accused of depositing more than $72,000 in cash derived from cocaine sales into his personal bank account. Castillo's indictment alleges that in February of 2021, he took 10 kilos of cocaine from a house on North Everett Avenue and did not turn it in as evidence. He allegedly planted 2 kilograms of cocaine for law enforcement to discover later that day. The 10 kilos were allegedly stored in another person's basement and were given to someone to sell. Mefford and Castillo were charged in separate indictments with processing an intent to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine, a federal crime punishment of up to 10 years to life in prison. Mefford is also charged with money laundering and 2 counts of possession with intent to distribute 500 grams or more of cocaine. So the indictments themselves, these officers, what they were doing is these were officers that were assigned to the narcotics division. They were going to addresses where they knew there were going to be drugs. They were illegally entering the premises, at least in one case where Joel, I'm going to call him Joel because Joel is someone that I used to consider a friend. He's somebody that I literally have his phone number in my phone right now. I have texted him on multiple occasions. I've taken calls for service with him on multiple occasions. I know him as Joel. Joel went to houses that they were going to get a search warrant on. And prior to getting the search warrant, he entered the premises, found multiple kilograms of cocaine, multiple kilos of cocaine, would remove some of that cocaine, prior to the search warrant for his own personal benefit. Then the next day, a search warrant would be executed. They would find a kilo, and they would then turn that into the proper room. He also stole drugs from the property room and replaced them with fake drugs. I'm trying to do this without reacting to the news, but it's incredible. This is the kind of stuff that you see in movies. This is the kind of stuff that doesn't happen in real life. This is the kind of stuff that there is no way in hell you're going to be able to get away with doing. I was talking to my wife about this last night, and the $72,000 in cash deposited in his bank account absolutely blows my mind. As a detective, as a narcotics detective, you would think that he would be smarter than that. I used to work at a bank, and everyone that works in these kinds of investigations should be very well aware that any cash deposit over $10,000 triggers a call to Homeland Security. This is part of the Patriot Act that was passed back in 2001, 2002. This was, anybody with a brain knows that this kind of stuff happens. The feds are 100% going to find out about your activities. If you're doing that kind of stuff, this is absurd. It's insane. Now the stuff that I can tell you that's like kind of reading behind the lines, or the information that I have that can add to this story that a lot of people might not have quite put together. Because I got a lot of text messages and comments on my Facebook and Instagram posts about this yesterday. They were asking is this two new officers, or is this the same officers that were charged before that got additional charges, this, that, and the other thing. If you remember back to 2021, there were, this is where it talks about them pleading guilty, but this was former Columbus Police narcotics officers plead guilty to drug and bribery charges. These were officers Marco Marino and John Kachkowski. They were arrested in September of 2021. They took a plea deal in 2022. I believe that they both pled guilty and received 9 years in federal prison as part of their sentence. Go ahead and pause it right there, because that's what those two pieces of shit look like. And in their case, they were, I think the way that they got caught, it's all in the article, but I'm not going to read it right now. The way that they got caught is they were, I believe they actually were taking drugs from the cartel and giving them to dealers and helping them move these drugs. They were taking payment in the form of drugs that they would then sell to drug dealers. They were also taking cash payments because they were taking cash payments for services, and their services that they were providing was that they were actually running a screen for cartel operations and cartel movement of narcotics. They were using their police identification, their police authority, and all of these things and their radios and everything to help prevent law enforcement from intercepting cartel drug shipments. That's one of the things that they were doing, and I believe some of it was actually interstate, meaning that it crossed state lines. That's what these two were doing. Now, when it comes to these guys right here, I can tell you that Joel Mefford, this guy, Joel, my former friend, him and John Kachkowski were attached at the hip. These guys were like twins. They went to the academy together. When they got out of the academy, they went to work the same precinct together. Kachkowski is a fluent, I think he's a native Spanish speaker. I believe his mother is from Venezuela. So he speaks fluent Spanish and has accents and dialects and all that kind of stuff. He's a native speaker. He was recruited to the Narcotics Bureau early on in his career. I think he had 3 to 5 years on when he went to the Narcotics Bureau. Initially, it was my understanding that the majority of the work he was doing was wiretaps, just translating wiretaps and stuff like that. Same thing with Marino. Marino actually grew up in South America and immigrated to the United States. He is actually someone that had such a strong Mexican accent or Hispanic accent, whatever you want to say, that it was often difficult to understand when he was talking on the radio. Marco is somebody that I personally worked with. I personally rode in a car with him. I personally made arrests with him. But John Kachkowski went to narcotics. He actually, ironically, he went to narcotics before Marino. They were trying to get Marino to go to narcotics for years. And I had personal conversations with him about it. We were all talking, why don't you just go? Get off the street, go work narcotics. That's a great job. You can have all the overtime in the world. You don't have to wear the uniform. You get to be one of the cool guys. Go. And I remember having conversations with him where he would say, no, I don't want the way that job will affect my home life. I like doing shift work where I get to go home to my wife at the end of the day. I've seen too many guys get roped into bad situations by working narcotics. These are the kinds of things that Marino told me when the Narcotics Bureau was trying really hard to get him to come over to their side for years. Unfortunately, he ended up going to the Narcotics Bureau, getting roped into all that stuff, and now he's spending 9 years in prison. But John Kochkowski and Mefford were very close friends their entire careers. Once Koch went to the Narcotics Bureau, he started doing everything he can, pulling as many strings as he could to get Joel Mefford over to the Narcotics Bureau. Joel started going to narcotics and working temp assignments. I don't know if he ever got a permanent job, but it was almost like he'd be on a 6-month temp in narcotics. He'd be back on the street for a couple weeks. Then he'd get another 6-month temp in narcotics. When Koch was arrested in 2021, everybody on the department who knew anything about him and Joel would look at Joel. I mean, I remember sitting at roll call in the mornings saying, how is Joel not roped into this? Those two guys were tied at the hip. Anything that Koch was doing, that Joel was going to be doing. It's impossible for him not to be aware of this. And people that talked to him, I never talked to him about it. They said that he was emphatic, that he had no idea all this stuff was going on. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but back in the back of my mind, I never believed him. It's impossible to believe that you can work that closely with someone that is doing those kinds of things and not be aware of it. So now the news comes out that Joel has been stealing kilos of cocaine, giving them to dope boys, helping them get distributed on the street. He was deposited at least $72,000 in cash in his account. There's got to be more cash somewhere else. Nobody knows where that cash is. I don't know. It's very clear that he was dirty the whole time. And then people are going to ask, how did these guys get caught? I don't know for certain, but if you're reading between the lines, and you have two brain cells to rub together, these two guys were arrested in 2021 and they got a 9-year sentence. They were facing 20 years at least. And then they took a plea deal. They pled to get 9 years. Everybody knows that when you take a plea deal with the feds and you get less than 20 years, it's because you're rolling on somebody or something. You're giving them information. The federal government does not give you a relatively short sentence if they're not getting something in return. I know that they probably gave up some information on, I don't know, I'm sure the feds already knew about the cartel operations that they were investigating. They might have given some information on some local boys. I don't know. But I am 100% convinced that these two guys right here were a major part of the reason that those first two guys got a sweetheart deal. I if you want to call 9 years a sweetheart deal, I don't know if it is or not. I would never want to do 9 years in federal prison, but when you're facing 20, 9 seems like a pretty good deal. Roll on a couple of your buddies, shorten your own prison sentence. That is 100% what I believe is happening here, because according to these indictments, this is all information from February of 2020, March of 2020. This is all, and then February of 2021. This is all very old information, and this is stuff that happened prior to these two guys getting arrested. So that's how I'm sure all of this stuff went down. Now, my personal feelings on this. To say this is upsetting is the understatement of the century. When I got this, I actually got a text from someone in the media. They sent me the story before it went live, like 2 minutes before it went live, kind of as a heads up. My first instinct was shock, but not. This name right here, unfortunately, doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me, but it breaks my heart at the same time. I didn't have any concrete information. It's not like I could go forward and turn him in. I don't know what he's been doing. I haven't seen him for probably 4 years. But you know that someone that's working with someone like him and that they've been so close, you know for a fact there has to be something there. Everybody knew there had to be something there. So I wasn't shocked, but I was still heartbroken. And I'm not heartbroken for him. I mourn my friendship. I don't like losing friends. I don't like losing friends like this. He's dead to me now. But then the thing that I really start to think about is just how sad this is for his family. The things that he did to his family, his wife, his daughter, his parents, us, his fellow police officers. Had a good job, good benefits, pension, had everything that you would ever need. Had the opportunity to make damn near unlimited money. With the amount of overtime that's available to these guys, he could very easily be earning over $200,000 a year. Earning $200,000 a year, potentially. Nice house, nice cars, beautiful wife, beautiful children. And he threw it all away. My overwhelming thought on this, you see a lot of stuff on the internet about corrupt cops. People have this idea that corrupt cops are the ones that are out there charging innocent people with crimes that they should not be charged with because of police corruption. Because they think that corrupt police want to see good people put in prison. That's not where police corruption lies. The corrupt cops that are out there are the ones that are only in it for themselves. They're using their position, their authority, their inside information to make themselves rich. This is what police corruption really looks like. And when people say, what we need is good cops to turn in the corrupt cops, the problem is the good cops don't know what these guys are doing. The only people that know what these guys are doing are the other corrupt cops. I don't have a solution to these kinds of problems. I think that to a large degree, we have to take human nature into account. I don't think this is a police corruption problem. I think it's a human nature problem. And we need to, as police agencies, find ways to avoid allowing human nature to corrupt our police officers. It's not an easy thing to do. One thing I do know for certain is the majority of the steps that are being taken to prevent police corruption are not being done with this kind of thing in mind. Everybody's wasting their time and spinning their wheels on a bunch of ineffective stuff, punishing officers that haven't done anything wrong. Meanwhile, people like this are out there getting away with it for years until they're eventually caught. And I still, I can't believe that they thought they were going to get away with this. Depositing $72,000 in cash into your personal bank account, going to the property room and taking out multiple kilos of cocaine and replacing them with fake ones. There are logs, there's paper receipts. you're not going to get away with this. I don't know. It honestly, it blows my mind. There's something wrong with the guys that do this stuff. And they need to be, I don't know. I realize that the feds are going to give people deals because they need information. But I fully support these guys being sentenced to the max. You should not see the light of day for the next 20 years if you do this kind of things, if you're a police officer. This is the ultimate abuse of authority and betrayal of trust. That's it for today.